Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a nice Friday. I'm sorry, it's Thursday. I'm a day ahead. Hope you're having a nice Thursday. Had a pretty good day. Spent so much time resanding my air intakes for my motorcycle carbon fiber that I made. Layer after layer of resin trying to get it right. Man, that shit is such a pain in the ass. But I got it right. Nice and glossy, wet looking. It's good. But I definitely would never want to work in like a body shop doing that sort of shit constantly. But yeah, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about leadership, boredom, and because I hear like a lot of guys be like, "Oh man, she's boring." She does this or she doesn't do that, and really, you guys got to understand that what you experience in your life, a large part of it is under your control. That you can create the things you want to experience in life. Now, if you're sitting here saying, "Well, I want to eat lunch on a private jet," well, you can make that happen too. It's just not going to be quite as immediate. But in terms of dealing with other people, especially women, you absolutely can create the reality that you want to live in. You can create the relationship that you want to live in. I mean, it's yours after all, right? This is your life, and we essentially we teach people how to treat us. But the thing is that there's a lot of prerequisites to that a lot of you guys don't understand, and I talk about them frequently. So if you're a usual here or you watch a lot of the recordings, you'll know that it's not just something you implement right away, because the you that is trying to do the creating often is doing it out of neediness. He's doing it out of fear. He's doing it out of an avoidance of pain. So there's a lot of there's a lot of shit that comes down to creating, and you can't really start. I mean, well, you can start whatever you want, but you're not going to get to the place that you want it to be, where it's clean and efficient and just looks right and feels right, until you have stillness inside you. And stillness, I mean that you're not resisting anything of yourself. You're not hiding any part of yourself from yourself. There's no criticism, there's no judgments, there's no mental chatter. Um, like you're just very comfortable as you are. And there's no efforts to force yourself to accept yourself as you are, like, just like bigging yourself up or anything like that. Accepting things as they are is a very relaxed position. Whoop, wrong lever. Just wanted to kick this back a little bit. There we go. So, while I would love to tell you guys that there's a simple playbook that you can just do this one, two, three, and everything will be okay. It's just not the case. It's just not going to work out that way, because it's a matter of who's behind the wheel, and that who is very important. It's Yeah, that who is very important. It's kind of like I do like a lot of racing analogies, and I could get you the best car. I could get, like, we could look at like Formula One cars. I build you the best car, best tires, best components, everything, right? I can teach you everything there is to know about how to operate that vehicle. But if you don't have the right mindset and the right training to be able to handle driving at those speeds, you're gonna fuck it up, or you're just gonna putt around the track. Like you're not gonna get anywhere fast. It's gonna take you a fucking hour to get around the track. So that's why you need training. No video out here is going to do it for you. But that's how a lot of these guys, they make their money. They're just like, hey, look, just follow these 10 steps. Follow these 10 steps and you can be a man. you know, like shout out to Steve, he harps on this as well. It's like, eh, 10 steps to becoming a brain surgeon. It's like, what? No, you got to fucking go to school. You got to study your ass off for a while. For a while. I'm sorry to say, but becoming a man is a lengthy path. And there's no one there to hold your hand. There's no one there to hold your hand through it. And this is one of the biggest things that you have to come to. And my guys all come to that realization at one point or another on their journey. And one of my guys was just recently, like last week, and I had to explain to him that it was because he was talking with some friends of his, and he was sharing his newfound perspectives, and they not only couldn't understand him, they got offended, and they couldn't believe the reality that he was living in. They thought it was wrong. They couldn't wrap their head around it. And I explained to him, I said, listen, the path of man is a solitary path. It's just you, and that's it. And maybe your guide, if you have one. It's like if you look at the first 3 releases of Star Wars, right? Episodes 4, 5, and 6. Luke, it was just about him. Like, it was just his journey. Like, yes, he had friends, but the whole shit was just about him and his development. And sure, like, he had Yoda by his side, he had Obi-Wan, but they were just kind of there alongside him. They weren't really with him in that experience. They weren't with him on his journey. They were just kind of ancillary figures on the side, just kind of helping him along a little bit along the way, until he even said, listen, like, fuck the training, I got to go do what I got to do. And he had to make decisions for himself, despite his master's wishes, which is to stay and complete his training. So it's a solitary path, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're lonely, right? Because quite frankly, you're in the best company ever. You're in your own company. So if you're on this path and you've gotten that far, then you've already come to that conclusion that there is no such thing as loneliness when you're in the best company possible, which is with yourself. I'm never lonely. Why would I be? I enjoy and love being alone. It's the best time. I get to do everything that I want to do. I get to do all my creative work. I get to develop the work for this business. I get to help my clients and plan out their trajectories and things they need to work on. Hang out with my cat. Fuck around with my dogs. It's like it's just complete freedom. There's so much freedom in just being with yourself. And it never feels bad. If it feels bad being alone, that's a signal. That's a signal that you're sending to yourself that there's an issue that you need to work on. Like, you should absolutely be able to be just by yourself, and not feel any sort of anxiety. Like, really enjoy it. Okay? So just understand that the path of man is a solitary path. No one's going to be sharing the experience with you and holding your hand, and a lot of it you're not going to be able to share with other people because they're not going to be able to relate. And this will let you know that there are so few men in the world. There's so few men in the world. There's shit tons of males. And after a while, you're not going to be able to relate to their experience. You're going to get more and more distanced from them, because you're just going to see their layers of suffering that they put themselves through. And you don't do that anymore. You're unburdening yourself from suffering, from your own suffering that you imposed upon yourself, many years ago, or something along those lines. So let's get into the topic at hand. Okay, so that was just a bit about leadership, manhood, and all that stuff to help you grasp that doing any of these things that I talk about, sure, it's going to help your understanding, but you can't fix them until you sorted out your core, until you align yourself, right? Where you have congruence, your thoughts, words, and actions, they're all in alignment. Okay? So let's take a look. So she's not boring. She's bored of how you're leading. So there's a difference between a woman who's boring in bed and a woman who's starved of inspiration. Okay? And not just boring in bed, but just boring, period. Okay? Because that sexual stimulation in the bedroom, you can carry that all throughout the day in any place you want. See, that's the other thing about releasing yourself from the burdens that you have on yourself from yourself, is that when you let go, it unleashes boundless creativity. You can do, say, and think and create anything you fucking want within your relationships. So it's not just boring in bed, it's like everywhere. So there's a difference between a woman who's boring and a woman who's starved of inspiration. Okay, and most men don't know this because they're too busy trying to do sex, right, the way that they've always done it. Same rhythm, same order, same assumptions about what she wants, while never really stopping to ask why she doesn't feel like wanting it. And there's so many women who are with the same guy over and over, and like a marriage or a long-term relationship, and she stops wanting it. And it's because you're rote, you're boring, you're predictable, you're simple. There's no flavor. It's like ramen noodles without the flavor packet even. That's pretty bad. Sure, it's edible, but is it that good? Ramen's fucking awesome if you fuck that spice pack that's like loaded with sodium, add your own spices, some fresh green onions, and like shredded carrot and some egg. Oh man, it's just fucking awesome. But anyways, but here's the truth. She's not the problem. She doesn't need to be more into sex. Because if you've listened to some of my other shit, you'll know that women's minds are so fucked up. And I say that with love. I really do. I really say that with love. Women's minds are so fucked up. So fucked up. The fantasies they have, like, you've not seen any of the things that they think about on any porn video. That's all men's shit. Okay? If there was like that would be wild actually. To make like even just like a production studio or just a number of videos, not even an entire website, but like just their own little thing where it's porn made just of what women think about. And it's gonna be wacky, wild shit. Really depraved, really strange, really outlandish, and unexpected. Like things that would be arousing that you just would not expect. But the funny thing is about women's fantasies is that it's not about like the pounding, right? Of course, yes, they love this. Oh my gosh, it's a nice night. So like every guy who has an illegal dirt bike in Brooklyn, they cut the exhaust so it sounds like shit, and then they just all go out riding together. It's disgusting. They sound like Jetsons cars and like, but louder and obnoxious. Anyways. So, see, that bullshit fucking made me lose my train of thought. Fuckers. But the depravity. Right. Oh, okay. Yes. So yeah, it's not just about the fucking. It's not just about the fucking, which they do love. Like they love that pounding shit and all that good stuff. But it's about the entire scene and how the entire scene makes her feel. It's the build up, right? It's the whole arc. Okay, so like the build up, that's a tremendous area of tension and friction and just juiciness, and then the crescendo, and then the descent. Okay, and they think about the whole fucking thing. Okay, guys, it's just that crescendo part, just the apex. And because for the most part, that's all guys need, that's all guys care about. Like, do we sit around and care about the tension involved? Generally, no. Okay, the build up, the anticipation. Okay, because that's more of an emotional thing. But I urge you guys to understand it. Once you understand the tension, once you understand the buildup and the anticipation, that's when you become a creative type. Because then the question is, well, that can take on so many different forms. How do I create tension? How do I create anticipation? How do I create teasing? The possibilities are limitless. All right, so let me go on. So she doesn't need to be more into sex. She needs to be more into you as an individual. And that does not become, or that doesn't mean becoming richer, taller, more physically fit, or more dominant in like the way porn taught you to be, right? Like smacking her around and tying her up. It has nothing to do with that. She's waiting to be led by a man who knows how to lead her out of the mind and into her body. So, but I wouldn't say like completely out of her mind, but harnessing her mind, and then her body follows. Because the moment a woman feels that kind of guidance, when a man just doesn't just initiate sex, but awakens desire inside her in a way she can't predict, that's when it becomes powerful. That's when she wakes up. When her body turns on, it becomes aroused without her expecting it to, without her wanting it to, or understanding the lead up to it, where you've just grabbed her mind and twisted around like a marionette, a puppet on strings. You just gently, like without her even knowing, attach the strings, and then whoop, you start flicking your hand and she's moving all over the place. Just want to check these. What's going on? Thank you for, what's up, Money Mitch? And thank you, Guns, for posting those links. If any of this is interesting, you want to talk about some stuff, you have questions, fire up the link there, Calendly, and schedule yourself a free consultation. So the thing that a lot of people do is we look at how we interpret the world, how we interpret situations, and how we will deal with them. And then we project that onto others. We do this constantly with all sorts of scenarios, okay? And we look at things from a very simple, like 1, 2, 3, logic, rational, this makes sense, why not do it? Okay, like a classic example is the girl has a problem, she comes to you and says, oh my gosh, there's this thing, and really she just wants you to listen to her, but your instinct is like, well, look, if you just do this, this, and this, your problem will be solved. And she just gets upset. She's like, I'm not looking for that. You're not even listening to me. You know, like that funny meme about was that video of the girl with the nail in her head? And she's complaining about how much her head hurts. And he's like, well, you've got a nail in your head. And she's like, it's not about the nail. So we can't look at sex the way we look at sex. To really understand sex, to become good at sex, you have to understand sex from the woman's perspective. That's how you become good. All right. Like a good speaker, let's say a good public speaker, they become a good public speaker by understanding how they're being perceived by their listeners. So a lot of men, they treat sex like a to-do list. Or a checklist, and they just kind of go through it. Foreplay, got that done. 10 minutes doing that. Clit stimulation, check. Playing with her nipples, check. Kissed on her neck, check. Right? Is her pussy wet? Check. And it just is dry, right? Because you just want to get to the part where you get to stick your pee-pee in her and move it around a whole bunch. All right, but here's what most men don't realize. You can technically do all the right things and still leave her feeling completely untouched. And the reason is because she's not craving technique, right? She's craving presence. She's craving your energy. She's craving your vibes. And there's no real technical way to create this because it's not a technical thing. So it's like she wants to feel something in you that is pulling her open, not asking for access. She wants to feel led, not pushed. She wants to feel awakened, not just simply managed. She wants to be penetrated, not performed on top of. And so when a woman says she's not in the mood, most men think that that's the end of the conversation. But a man who understands the feminine knows it's actually the beginning. He doesn't back off in defeat. He slows down. And this is one of the most key, powerful components of a good lover is the control of time. And you guys are so fucking pussy obsessed. It's like, you guys need your own t-shirts, your own hats, like just with a big pussy on the front. Proud member of the Pussy Club. I guess that would be better than walking around with a big dick on your shirt, but you get what I mean. You guys are so obsessed with pussy, you're so obsessed with pleasure that you don't even get to experience, to gain the understanding that you can control time. You can slow things down or speed them up. Okay, you can control distance with closeness and feeling further apart. And controlling these elements, this is what creates the dynamism. This is what creates the tension that women just fucking love. Now, of course, this is with the assumption that the girl's into you. Okay, so let's just go with that assumption. Okay, because you shouldn't be going this far with a girl who's not even interested in you. Right? That means you've coerced her or forced her or tricked her or whatever. So let's just pretend that you're not one of those losers and you're with a girl that actually likes you. Okay, either in a relationship or just with for that moment. And you're so eager to get to the fucking that you just go all in. And like, sure, from time to time, that's okay. Like passion, just like thunderous passion is fantastic. All right. But not all the time. Tension is way, way stronger. Okay. Way stronger. And just think about the guys who girls have been strung along by. And the guys are like barely fucking them. Like maybe once a week, if that. And they're just stringing them along, and they're like for months on end. And she's fucking obsessed with him. Fucking obsessed. I mean, he could have nefarious reasons. He could be just fucked up and doesn't know what he's doing, or he could be a prime manipulator and just totally stringing her along. And then after she gets her heart broken, she's like, "Oh, he's such a narcissist." But good chances are he just didn't know what he was doing. But anyways, the point is that she's not possessed by sex. She's possessed by his presence or his lack thereof. Like, remember I said closeness and being further away. That control of distance, control of speed. She probably really wants to see him like tomorrow. And he's like, "Oh, I'm really busy. I can see you in about 3 or 4 days." She's like, "What?" Sitting there fucking counting the days down. Okay. So he slows down. He makes her feel like a woman again. Okay. So this is what happens when she comes into your orbit, right? It takes away her responsibilities. It takes away her checklist. It takes away her guilt. It takes away her shame. And he doesn't need her to be horny first. And that's where safety comes into play. All right. Like, a woman very rarely will be able to get turned on without feeling safe. Now, you can mock a sense of danger, but it's not real danger. Okay. You can pretend to inject some of that in your scenario, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about emotional safety. And it's very difficult for a woman to get aroused without emotional safety. All right. So he will know how to make her feel safe and desired until aroused naturally, and it blooms inside her body like a slow aching sunrise. That's what she wants. She wants that slow aching sunrise. It just builds and builds and builds, and it can keep building almost indefinitely. So the attraction isn't lost, it's starved. So if your woman is used to, like, she used to be really wild for you and now she's just like not interested in sex anymore, like, that's bullshit. Like I told you, women have the most fucked up imaginations. It's not because the spark is dead, it's because she hasn't felt inspired by you in a long time. You don't need you don't need to shock her system, you just need to feed it. You need to feed her guidance and leadership. And this isn't by way of giving her commands and things to do. That's not leading. That's leading from the exterior. Okay. Lead from the interior. Okay. And leading from the interior looks like being in such a way that allows her to soften, that allows her form to become more fluid, which then can be held by your container. So the masculine leads by energy first, action second. So you can ask yourself, like, when was the last time you touched her without trying to escalate something? When was the last time you claimed her without rushing to the outcome? When was the last time you kissed her like you had all night? Like, you're not rushing to get to the next thing. All right. And that's the thing. It's like you're in control of time. All right. And women don't really respond well to pressure. They don't respond well to sexual pressure. There's absolutely other types of pressure that you can apply to their psyche, and it motivates them like crazy. All right. But this isn't for that. That's a totally different alleyway to go down. But what they respond to most is direction. But direction doesn't mean being commanding. It doesn't necessarily mean dominance in the sense that you're probably thinking of. It means having clarity. It means having confidence, being the kind of man who makes her feel, I can let go here, where she feels comfortable and safe enough to let go. Because once she feels that, she'll follow you anywhere. So let's look at a couple of these other things here. So I've got a few things here, about 10 10 things here. So you don't, like, a lot of guys are like complaining about, how women are. They're saying like, oh, the Western woman's fucked, she's cooked. And, to be fair, in a lot of ways she is. And they're saying, I need her to be soft. I need to be feminine. Right? What do they say? Fit, feminine, and friendly. Okay. Great. Like, that's great if she's like that and she's set up. But do you know what to do with it? What do you do? What are you supposed to do with that? Oh, I don't know, just live my life and then she'll just do the thing. She'll just follow me. No. Fit, feminine, and friendly doesn't mean that you've influenced her. It just means she's fit, feminine, and friendly. How is she on your program? How is she worshiping your every step? How is she getting your six? But she's still fit, feminine, friendly. So how does she go from that to, good morning, my lord, how can I serve you today? You don't know, do you? Because it has to do with you, not her. The problem is with you. You are the problem. Surely it makes things easier if she's fit, feminine, and friendly. Okay. I'll grant you guys that. Makes it a bit easier. But regardless of whether that part of the equation is easier or not, your side still needs to know what the fuck you're doing. And your plan can't be based around sex. It can't, because sex doesn't have trajectory. Sex doesn't have a goal other than pleasure and more sex, right? There's no developmental process. There's no achieving more. There's no goals. It doesn't bring about further fruit. Okay? Women want to blossom. All right? And it's like you come over and you just like drop like one little drop of water on her and like that's it. And sure, maybe that's all you want to do. But like don't you dare call yourself a man. Don't you dare call yourself a leader. Because you're not leading shit. You're not developing shit. You're not creating anything except some pleasure. Which is fine, but don't call yourself a leader. So where did I put that? Sorry, I'm just maybe it didn't translate there. Just 1 second. Sorry. Talk amongst yourselves. Sorry, I'm just looking for something. Okay. So here we go. So I always mention, or I often mention, that the woman is the mirror. She's reacting to you. Okay? Women are responsive, reactive, reflective creatures. All right? They are sort of like a blank canvas. They're very impressionable. They're extremely impressionable. And because they are, like, they're part of their psyche, part of their presence is looking for this. It's looking for something that can impress upon them. And that's not to be impressive, like showing off. It means like, those metal stamps that you push into a letter and it embosses the letter. Like they're looking for that. They're looking something to impress upon them, to leave a mark. All right. And when I pull out my new 2.5 foot leather bullwhip, it most certainly leaves a mark. Yes. Oh, thank you for the question. I just seeing this now. Itarius, what work needs to be done mentally for self in order to become a leader? Well, first of all, you have to stop wanting to be a leader. No leader actually wants to be a leader. They just are one. People just feel comfortable around them. They feel safe with their confidence and the belief in themselves and belief in their plan and their idea and just everything. And they're like, because everybody else is fucked up. Everybody else is, they're crazy in the brain. They're full of self-doubts. They're full of anxiety. They're full of distrust of themselves, of the world, of other people. So when they come across somebody that they feel comfortable around, they want to follow them. And that's when your leadership is born. You become a leader when you start having a or more followers. One or more followers. That is one of the defining characteristics of a leader. If no one's following you, well, you're not leading anything. You're not a leader. You might know what to do, okay? But until you're able to impress upon someone or someone's, you're really not that. And that's okay. But just know that desiring to be one will keep you away from it. So number one here is she's reacting to you not failing you. So what you call like her mood or whatever is not just her reflection of your is often just a reflection of your inconsistency, vagueness, and passivity. So like you guys have to let go of being vague. Like one of my guys, he talks too fucking much. He talks way too much. He puts in way too many words when he's talking to his woman. Because what he's trying to do is, like, if you can imagine the basic trajectory of an airplane, right? There's like the runway and it's going across and then it starts taking off and it goes up and then it slowly like comes down like this nice like gentle arc, right? This smooth wave shape. What really needs to be said is that high point in the middle, okay? That runway part where it's taking off is irrelevant, and the landing part, the descent, is irrelevant. But he adds these parts on because he's not confident about what he needs to say right there in the middle, the important shit. He's not confident about that. So he puts in this preamble, this preface to smooth the transition to get to that point, and then he smooths the descent to make sure it lands okay. And this is a sign of not really standing on your shit as a man. Not standing with your being like having conviction in what you're about and what you need to say and why you're saying it, and not feeling like you have to lead up into it and then explain yourself afterwards. So number two here is you don't know what you want, so she's stuck in limbo. A woman can't relax into her feminine core or allow her feminine core to come out if you're indecisive, unclear, or waiting for her to make a move so that you know what to do with more safety and certainty. And oh my gosh, that's one of the biggest mistakes that you guys do, is that you're looking, I'm like, it's kind of a dead word now, but you're looking for choosing signals. Now, maybe not necessarily choosing signals, but you're looking for a signal that says, hey man, it's okay if you go in this direction, or if you say this or do this. Like, that's what you're looking for, so that you don't make a mistake, so that you don't like ruffle her feathers, or brush her fur the wrong way, right? That's what this is all about. You're afraid of rejection still, even after getting her. It's like she's your girl and you're still pussyfooting around, afraid that if you say the wrong thing or do something that she might not like, that you're done. So you're still riding behind her, waiting for her to make a move so that you can make the best move possible to stay in her good graces, to stay in the good perceptions. This is no good. You can't do that. So you got to get out of limbo by being decisive, by being clear, by not over explaining, by not waiting for her signals that what you want to do or what you want to say is okay. Just do it. Just say it. And if it's not okay, then deal with that. Like if it doesn't land and she's not into it or whatever, she has an issue with what you've got to say or an issue with what you want to do or what you're doing, deal with it then. Like that's what we do as men. Like the whole notion of fucking around and finding out, that comes from men. That's us. With everything. They're like, shit. Like, I wonder what would happen if we took this like extremely explosive liquid and put it inside this machine that had pistons and like made something move around and then connected thing. I wonder if we could just make us go. And they were like, well, do you think having this like small explosion that's like right in front of you, sitting on top of a giant tank of this highly flammable liquid, don't you think that's a bad idea? And they're like, nah, fuck it. Let's run them. Yeah. Let's just do it. I mean, motorcycles even worse. Like the tank of explosive liquid is sitting right between your nuts. And right on top of a 200 plus degree engine. Like, come on. You know, we wonder, like, gee, I wonder what would happen if, we just kind of put this thing over our head with this air hose that goes up to the surface. I wonder how deep we can go. You know, sure, like people are gonna die, they're gonna drown, but we just kept fucking around to find out. That's what we do. Let's send people into fucking space. What, dude? It's just space. There's nothing there for us. Okay? There's nothing on any of the planets that we could reach that has anything for us. But we're like, fuck it. Let's go. What's happened to that spirit of just saying, look, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm doing. And if she doesn't like it, you just deal with that. Oh, I think fucking trying to get to the bottom of the ocean is a bad idea. You know what? Fuck you. Well, you don't have to tell the girl fuck you, but I mean, you can just stand on your square. All right, number 3 here. You reward compliance, not depth. So really easily is that you praise her when she makes life easier for you, but you ignore the parts of her that want to be drawn out and challenged and led. So you could have the most obedient girlfriend in the world and still not know who she is. Now, you may not care. You don't give a shit. But this is the difference between service and surrender, or service and submission. Submission is kneeling from the heart, not from your leg. All right? Because she could be a fucking quadriplegic and submit, like submit from her spirit, or her spirit kneels. Okay? So you need to draw that out there. You need to tap into her feminine core. Because once you start tapping into her feminine core, that's when her actions, those things like where she's doing this or doing that, being very obedient and following directions, those take on a completely different meaning now. Completely different meaning. This is where service has changed to devotion. So it's like, I can only think of like, people going to church. I think it's Catholics where they eat that little wafer, and it's supposed to be like, oh, the body of Christ, the blood of Christ. And they drink the wine and they, or the grape juice, and they eat the little wafer. That's, they're symbols, okay. But I'm sure that after someone has awakened, right, their spirit has knelt to that religious, spiritual, philosophical paradigm, that this act takes on a completely different meaning. It's no longer just eating a little cookie and sipping some juice, right? And it moves away from the philosophical or theological understanding into something emotional. And that's where things have meaning, is when your emotions are tied into things. That's when they become meaningful. So when you start tapping into her core, that's when these, her obedience, her actions of obedience, they take on a whole new meaning. So you have to learn to challenge and draw out her feminine core to be exposed. And there's whole art to doing that, and we can't get into the details of that because that's for my students. All right, number 4, you're managing the relationship, but you're not leading it. So there's a difference, right? Managers, basically, they just avoid problems. Leaders lean into problems with direction and purpose, okay? So managers avoid problems, leaders lean into problems, and by doing so, they dismantle them or transform them. That's the difference. Don't be a manager. Don't be a manager and a mitigator of things in your life. Lead with purpose so that you can change things. You can become the magician. You can become the wizard, the one who warps reality, okay? Shout out to Dr. Strange. When I was younger, many, many years ago, probably like my early 20s, I was hanging out with like a bunch of artists, and, we were painting and making music and doing drugs and skateboarding and graffiti and all this cool shit, DJing. And I don't know how this came about, but they started calling me Dr. Strange, like from the comic guy, which is kind of weird because like I wasn't into magic. I'm like I wasn't even a big fan of the character. I thought it was kind of dorky, but I don't know. They just started calling me Dr. Strange. But fun little fact. Okay, number 5. You think you're easygoing, and you're actually just avoidant. This is a big one. So you let her choose everything to keep the peace, and then complain that she never respects your voice. That's not peace, that's abdication. So you can't have both realities. All right? Like if you're choosing to be the leader, you give up your right to complain. It's gone. You no longer have the right to complain about anything because you assume responsibility. And if you want to follow and have the ease of someone else giving you direction, then you can't complain about not being respected, like as a leader. Respected for your mind, respected for your opinion, respected for your 2 cents. Okay? Now I'll listen to the 2 cents of my girls, but it's not so much respect that I'm going to often consider them as viable options. Right? Like I know what I want. I know what I want to do. So you got to choose one or the other. You can't fucking walk down the middle of the street. Choose one lane or the other. All right? And it's a 2-way street. You're going this way or you're going that way. Okay? Okay, so number 6, she's not submissive because you haven't earned trust. Now, I would say earned is probably a bad word, more like developed trust. So she's not submissive because you haven't developed trust. If you haven't built a track record of decisiveness, integrity, and emotional containment, she shouldn't follow you. That's wisdom, not rebellion, right? She's choosing instinctually. Her instinct is driving her to choose not you, right? This isn't a calculated thing. This isn't malice. This isn't her trying to manipulate you or castrate you or make you feel bad or reject you or something premeditated or anything like that. It's instinct. And her instinct is pulling her away from you, pulling her towards, pulling her away from uncertainty, because uncertainty could lead to danger. Uncertainty is, you talk about accountability being kryptonite to women. No. Women's kryptonite is uncertainty. When there's certainty and she's on your program, accountability isn't even a fucking question. It's like if they screw up, they're so fucking heart-wrenched that they've let you down. So disappointed in themselves that often I don't even have to punish them, because they've kicked themselves in the fucking ovaries so hard already that I often don't have to do anything unless it's egregious or unless I really need a certain understanding to be driven into their head. But a lot of times they feel so bad that they're about to receive my disappointment. And that's enough. My silence is like a fucking axe to their skull. But it has to do with their ability to trust. And if you're inconsistent, if you're indecisive, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, you have no sense of guiding, you've not been able to touch her in a way that makes her want to open and release, okay? To let go. Because women are very tight inside. Well, on a particular layer inside, it's tight. I mean, underneath that, there's a lot of looseness, but there's an area where there's tightness, and it's below the surface. And if you don't have the ability to inspire her to let go, because I mean, think about it. Like if you're just rushing to fuck, like how easily do you think, or how quickly do you think she's gonna want to let go like that? And then you fucked and fucked and fucked, and you're growing to like her, but she's not following you. And you're like, these fucking hoes. They'll submit their pussy before they submit their heart. That's fucked up, right? Now you start judging them, right? And really, what you're upset about is that you couldn't do it. And you don't know why. That's even worse. It's a signal that you couldn't do it, that you're incompetent. And what makes it worse is you have no idea where you're incompetent or how you've been incompetent. You just are in this vague area of knowledge that you've been incompetent. And that's why she's not submitting to you. That's why she doesn't trust you. That's why she hasn't opened up and become supremely vulnerable to you and followed you without question. You know you fucked up, but you have no idea how. And trust and believe, there's not a lot. There's probably very little to none of videos on YouTube that will explain how. Because really, it's an individual reason. Like each of you guys, if you're having this problem, like let's say, there's 10 guys who have this issue. They've all had the similar result. The reasons for their incompetence and where are all going to be different. That's why your answer, if you're one of those 10 guys, won't be found on YouTube. It's actually found in yourself. The problem is in looking for it. Shout out to Alan Watts. He said, it's like touching the tip of the finger with this very same finger, or trying to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. The examiner is the examined. So that's why it's important to have a guide who can see you from angles that you cannot see yourself. I wouldn't say the guide sees you better. It's not a better or worse dichotomy. What it is a different angle. All right? The fish can only see the fish tank from one position. An outsider can see the fish tank from completely different positions that the fish just cannot do. That's why it's important to have a guide. All right, number 7. Your confidence is conditional. You're confident when she praises you. You're confident when she's soft, okay? You're confident when she's sucking your dick. You're confident when she's serving you. You're confident when she's happy, okay? But you become soft when she pulls away. You become insecure. You become worrisome. Your anxiety pops up, okay? You're a fair weather leader. You're a fair weather man. You know, you've heard that phrase, a fair weather friend, that friend who only wants to hang out with you when you're feeling good. But the minute you're having trouble, you can never get a hold of them. You call them up, you message, man, I'm having a terrible day. And they just do not respond. But it's a beautiful, you're feeling on top of the world. You message them, you're like, hey, fucking awesome day. I'm going for a bike ride. Want to come with? And they're like, hell yeah, let's go. Right? Never around when the chips are down. All right. And that's how a lot of you guys are with your confidence. You have fair weather confidence, fair weather manhood, fair weather domination. But what happens to you when she's in a bad mood? What happens to you when she's scared? What happens to you when she's afraid? When she's sad? When she's bad at you? When she's sad at you? Or sad because of you? Or there's an emotional situation that you can't affect. You have no influence over, whatever it is. Maybe it's just too intense. Her mom is on her deathbed. Some shit like that. Her dad's on his deathbed. You can't compete with that emotional intensity. Where's your manhood now? Where's your leadership? Where's your influence? Where's your confidence? And because you're inconsistent this way, that tells her you're not stable. You are needy in disguise. You are a fair weather man, which means you're not a man at all. And there's a couple of my guys who are like this. It's reducing, but they had to learn. They had to learn a difficult truth, that they're just not a man. They're a boy who only likes his woman when she's pleasant, when she's having a good day. How fucking immature is that? Who the hell walks through life feeling good all the time? Like, especially women. Are you kidding me? With their fucking 12,000 voices in their head, the 12 million different emotions, the pressures from their family, their friends, from society, from media, from their own programming, their own guilt, their own shame, from you, all kinds of crazy shit. Now, I'm not saying this to be sympathetic, but just to illustrate that there's fucking craziness going on in there. Utter chaos. It's never still like a mirror glass placid lake on an early morning, where it looks like a fucking mirror. It's never that way inside a woman. Never. Until until she experiences the power of being with a man with a capital M. She gets to experience moments of this. And these moments, because we can control time or the experience of time, we can drag this out. We can stretch time. We can stretch her experience of peace, where her brain turns off, her emotions settle to a hum. And now she's able to be without thinking about all the other beings inside her. If you're needy, like, that's neediness. There's great neediness inside women. Okay? And I love them for it. It makes my job interesting. But you can't be needy also. You need to be the direct opposite. If she's liquid, you're solid. If she's water, you're fire. It's like everything has to be polar opposites. If she's chaotic, you're ordered. It all has to be opposites. So don't be needy in disguise. Okay? Deal with your shit. And no, she's not the answer to these things. All right, number 8, you don't set the tone, you follow hers. Who controls the emotional climate? If her emotions, right, and you hear this all the time, okay? The man gets the house, but the woman makes the home. Okay, if women are crazy and emotionally volatile, how is it that they are in charge of the emotional thermometer in the home? The fuck? It's too volatile. You know, and seriously, that's no knock on women. That's just accepting nature for what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's like getting upset at nature because it goes through 4 seasons. Be like, I'll just pick one and be consistent. You know, it's just not how it works. Okay. It fluctuates. And that's okay. Like, it is what it is. I'm not judging nature. I'm not judging women. Okay. But I'm not going to make I'm not going to make the fluctuations of seasons to be my, to be the standard, to set the standard for things. No, no, no. I want consistency in my home. Consistency. So her emotional states cannot control the emotional climate in your relationship or in your home. If her emotions lead the rhythm of your day or of your relationship or of your mindset or of your home or your marriage, she is the conductor, not you. And what's funny is that she's not really the conductor, okay? Because it's not like she's got control of her emotions and she's wielding them like a conductor up on stage in front of a symphony. And she's like, okay, and now the strings, and now the woodwinds, and now the percussion. Like, it's not like that. They're just playing willy-nilly how they see fit, whatever they want. Just because. All right? So the conductor, I mean, it's like a symphony without a conductor. That's really what's in charge. So she's not really in charge. Just the emotions are. Like, how can you possibly build anything off of that? Now, this does not mean that her emotions are completely disregarded and locked in a box to never be paid attention to or never heeded. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? Because one of the most powerful things is for a woman to feel seen, a woman to feel heard. Okay? And this is an art form all in of itself. It's not just listening to her bullshit. That's not what it is. Okay? That's not telling her she's beautiful. That's not what seeing is. Okay? Seeing goes beyond the surface, and it's seeing her core, seeing her at her core. And I'll tell you, just a hint, if you know, instead of going deep into it, at virtually every woman's core is a little girl. It's a little girl who almost desperately wants safety, is just yearning for safety, emotional safety. Okay. Not some big house with fucking, auto tracking machine guns. No, emotional safety, not physical safety. That's not to disregard physical safety. I mean, that's what everybody wants. But that little girl just wants to feel less unsettled. She wants to feel less chaotic within herself. You can control her entire environment because you're some rich motherfucker. You've controlled the home, the temperature, everything that happens. There's servants, there's fucking everything. All of her needs, her surface needs are attended to. That will not penetrate into her core and make her truly feel safe. That little girl, okay, that's attending to the adult woman, okay, that little girl is still feeling unsafe. I'm not going to teach you how to deal with that because that's for my students. But that is at the core of almost every woman on the planet, is that little girl. And the emotions and shit and the feelings, like all of that stuff is dancing on top of the layer where the little girl rests. So you have to learn to go through the layers, to permeate the layers. The woman on the surface, right? The things that are presented, going through her feelings, through her emotions, and into her core. To touch the spirit of that little girl that's inside her. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is you expect her to carry the relationship's energy. You bring physical presence, but no emotional gravity. No wonder she feels alone. Your body's there, but your leadership isn't. And sometimes, like I said this before, leadership isn't giving commands. That's not what it's about. It's not having rules and all this stuff. Yes, these things help. It helps to have rules. It helps to have structure. It helps to give commands, but mostly for you as the men. Yes, I have my students construct these things for their relationships, but the benefit is mostly to them because they're afraid to do it. So it kind of challenges their discomfort zones. It makes them step into discomfort. So that's mostly why we have these things. And then the ancillary benefit is that their relationship gets to be more regulated. All right. But you cannot expect her to carry the emotions in the relationship, the energy, actually you can't expect the woman to carry anything in the relationship. Like, get this through your thick skulls. If you see yourself as a leader, you want to be the leader, you think you should be the leader, you have all the responsibility, all of it. Now, that doesn't mean you can't delegate. It doesn't mean you have to do everything, but you're responsible for everything. Okay? So, like, let's say you look at like a police force. Okay? The one who's responsible is the police commissioner. Like a few of his cops are fucking around, doing dumb shit, fuck it up, doing this, doing that. It's like, yeah, they'll get their they'll get reprimanded or punished or something like that. But it really comes down to, it's that they'll say, well, who's been responsible for this? Yeah, they'll talk about those cops, but everyone's looking at the commission and be like, how did this happen? How did you let this happen? He can't be like, well, I don't know. Like, they're grown men. They can handle themselves. I'm not responsible here. No, you sat down in that seat that says fucking Commissioner so-and-so right on the front of your desk. And that says, I'm the fucking big cheese here. I'm the leader. I'm taking responsibility. I take all the fucking L's. And if you think that's unfair, you don't understand leadership. You don't actually want it. The woman is not responsible for fuck all. I mean, unless you delegate things to her to be responsible for, but you can't take your eyes off of those things, you're still responsible. You still have to pay attention. You still have to monitor. You still have to lead, which means you cannot just be dull in your eyes, dull in your ears, dull in your thinking. You don't have off days. You can't get lazy. Like being a man, being a father, being a husband, being a leader, being the head of a relationship, there's no off days. There may be like off moments, but there's no off days. There's no off weeks. There's no vacation time. And it's not paid. It's not paid vacation. And you're like, damn, that sounds like some shit. That sounds like some, you kids will probably be like, oh, it sounds like some blue pill nonsense. Okay, well, you can take your red pill lotion and go jerk your little pee-pee into oblivion. And I don't know, just like shrivel up until you die in front of your computer criticizing women for how horrible they are. And then all the while online, you're this big tough guy. You're the man. You're a tough man. Well, tough men can take a fucking axe to the chest like Thanos. And they can look up at their assailant and say, you know what, bitch? You should have went for the head. That's some shit, right? Willing to take the axe to the chest. Okay, but you can't be a pussy and claim to be a man. You can't be a bitching, whining, complaining motherfucker and expect women to follow you. Or like, do you really think all of your complaining or your vicarious complaining, which is to listen to other men complaining and getting enjoyment from it, okay, being entertained by listening to other men complain about women, okay, that's just as bad. Do you really think that you're a leader? You're not. You're boring and you're weak. And you're scared. Because what if you get it wrong? What if you get it wrong? Like I'm here in New York City. There's like the Holland Tunnel. The Holland Tunnel goes under fucking water. No, fuck that. There's I forget the name of it, but there's like an underwater channel that goes from England to Paris. Underwater. Do you know how many people fucking died doing that? I mean, I know, like, I read some history about the Holland Tunnel and the Lincoln Tunnel. Like, that shit caved in. This was made like a long fucking time ago. They didn't have like modern technology and all this stuff. Like, they'd be building and just thousands and gallons of water would just come in and whoosh, like just everybody's fucking dead. Did they say, you know what? That sucks. Let's just cancel the project. No, they took the axe to the chest and said, let's keep going. They should have aimed for the head. I'm still here, so we're going to continue with the plan. Hire some more workers. Let's go. And when those guys died, it was the project manager who had to stand there and tell the families of those men that their husband died on the job. That's having fucking leadership. That's taking responsibility. That's saying, my chest is here and I'm willing to take the blows. All right, last one here, number 10. She's not cold. So many guys complain the woman's gone cold. She's frigid. No, you just fucking suck. She's not cold. She's waiting. She's waiting for you to rise. She's waiting for you to speak, to lead, to hold tension, to challenge her, and to see and to see through her. So many of you guys just deal with the woman who you see on the surface. You deal with her the visual surface, you deal with the audio surface, you deal with her emotional surface, which is just the feelings. So you deal with her feelings, right? Because emotions are deeper than feelings. You guys just deal with women on a surface level and then scratch your head and go, why doesn't she submit to me? Why doesn't she follow me? Why does she doubt me? Why does she not respect me? It's because you haven't even touched her. You fucked her all sorts of ways. You've seen every inch of her body. You've listened to her fucking stories. You've listened to her past. But you've not actually touched her. You've not actually seen her. You've not actually heard her. That's why. So if you can't do these things, she will shut down. Not out of spite, but out of reaction and disappointment. And this is what happens. You need to understand that these things are not conscious choices, like I mentioned before. They're not conscious choices. She's not sitting there going, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this because he's acting this way. It's all instinct. All of it is instinct. And so, this will be helpful. So when you're interacting with her, just think about this. Think about engaging with her instincts, not her surface, not with what she says, not with what you hear, not with the feelings that you see, and not her appearance. But think about her instincts that are driving some of the things that she says and does. Don't communicate to those things that come off of the instincts, communicate to the instincts themselves. That's how you start traversing from surface to core, because the instinct is somewhere in between. And that's really where she's at. This is where you can actually start creating influence, where you start shifting her thoughts, you start shifting her perspective, you start shifting her beliefs. Just looking for something here. Just something one of my girls said. Something about belief. And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, okay. So yes, we were talking about sexual like sexual experience, right? Because this one girl, she just doesn't have a lot of sexual experience at all. And she was saying, oh, I thought that in your culture that such things um wouldn't matter much, like being chased basically, right? And she said she thought that only skill and ability would be what truly matters, because she sees like what's going on in porn and like what girls are famous and all this stuff, OnlyFans, and looking from the outside, she's like, oh, like looking very slutty and knowing what to do sexually, that's a high priority, right? And she was like concerned about like the culture and looking at like American culture. And I said, don't worry. I said, just worry about the culture of me. That's the only culture you have to worry about, right? And that put a big smile on her face. And then she says, your girl worries and cares about everything. If it has anything to do with Mr. J, your culture is this girl's faith. And so it's like you become, I think was it Rollo Tomasi, where he coins that phrase, being your own mental point of origin. I think it was him. I'm not a big Tomasi fan, so I wouldn't know. But it's you becoming your own point of mental origin but also her mental point of origin. And the way that works is that she starts dropping away her preferences. She starts dropping away her beliefs. I mean, it's like a very old, like conditioned belief, like having to do with culture or family or something that traverses decades or something like that. All right. I'm talking about like these newfound like pop beliefs or something along those lines. But those beliefs, they start shedding. Okay. Certain views, certain worldviews, certain perspectives, certain rules, certain expectations for herself or what she thinks men should be like. Like all of these things start stripping away, and her identity becomes more and more plain. Okay. And the more plain a surface becomes, the easier it is to reflect. Okay. The easier it is to reflect light or reflect something off of it. It becomes easier. So the more plain her psyche becomes, the more she can become a reflection of you. She can become an extension of you. Much like the light that comes from the moon is an extension of the sun. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you stop dealing with what you see and hear, and you start dealing with the instinct that lies beneath that, and you start tapping into her core beyond that level. She starts shedding things away where she's basically saying, my belief in you is my belief. You are my belief. Now, going back to what I was uh saying about responsibility, you have to be responsible. When someone says, I'm putting my faith in you, you can't be like, well, like, do you have to put all of it in? Like, can't I just put some of my faith in you and you kind of like share the weight with me? Come on. It doesn't work like that. That's not how faith works. Either it's on or it's off. Either you have faith or you have doubt. That's it. It's a switch. It's a binary thing. And when there's faith, whatever the faith is in is now shouldered with the burden of responsibility. And if you don't like that idea, if you can't hack it, if you don't have the fucking shoulders for it, well, you're shit out of luck. Don't fucking complain about your ineptitude. Either start changing it or let go. Because if you stay where you are in a position of being inept and being upset about it, but not letting it go, you're going to live a life of tension. You're going to live a life with constant anxiety inside you, because anxiety is the rejection of what is. That's all anxiety is. Something is, and you wish it was something else. And that internal clash causes tension. So if you're saying, I don't want to be a man, I don't want responsibility, I don't want the pressure of someone relying on me with their fucking spirit, with their mind, with their heart, with their body. Like, I just want to fuck. I just want to have a little and dopamine kick in my brain for 5 seconds. Like, you're not a fucking man. Like, you're a pussy with a dick. And it's okay if you want to live that way. Totally fine. But you're going to have to let go of the desire for someone to follow you, because it's only going to lead to suffering. You're going to lead a life of tension, which is going to want to displace itself into other addictions. You're gonna become addicted to distractions like social media, video games, other forms of entertainment, drugs, sugar, alcohol, right? As coping mechanisms for that tension. So you have to let go. And actually, I think if you started letting go, it'll actually set you on the right path towards manhood, because part of manhood is, like, in developing it, is the art of letting go. It's doing this is it's an arcane art form. It's and it's so powerful. It's such a simple task to let go, but it can be difficult because you're conditioned to grasp. But grasping only creates tension. Like, you make a fist, you hold something very long. After a while, you start shaking, and, like, veins start popping, and you're starting to get fatigued and all this stuff. Okay, to let things flow, you have to release. And so many things can come out. I mean, this is some great things will happen, but then when you release a lot of your shit from inside, from your childhood, from your past, all that stuff starts getting mixed up. Okay. And some of it's just coming to the surface. And one of my guys, he said, because of the work that we're doing, and that's kind of what he's doing, he's like put his hand down into the pond and just started mixing it around, and the mud is just coming up to the surface. You got to do that. You got to see what's hidden in the muck, in the darkness. And it's throwing him off. And he's like, I don't even want to see my girl this weekend because I'm not centered. I'm not grounded. Like, that mud has to, like, kind of settle down again. But this is something I have to do. I have to agitate these things so that I can see what's in there. And, so he's calling off time with his girl. Now, before meeting me, he would absolutely not do that. He would shove it down and go, I'm not missing out on a pussy. I'm getting my dick wet this weekend. Oh, she's so hot. No, like, and that now he's coming into like a real understanding, because it's one thing to say that the game has nothing to do with women, and to actually feel it, to actually experience it and feel it viscerally, that this game has nothing to do with women. You guys can parrot that shit all day long, but until you feeling it, well, now you're just being a parrot. All right. It's almost fucking midnight. I'm going to pull this to a close. Watch the last two recent episodes of Wednesday. I got to say, it's okay. Not as good as the first season. That first season, man, that shit was boss. But it's all right. It's okay. I'm going to continue watching it. So if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email at justin@thedominanceacademy.com. Follow the link that's follow the link in the description of every video to my Calendly. You can set up a free call with me to discuss whatever you like, and we can get you set up on the right pathway towards getting yourself sorted out, so you can stop fucking around with your life. And yeah, hope to see you on the next one. Have yourself a nice rest of your evening and a good weekend. Take it easy.